things. I've got to look at this Google Doc because McKinley gets crabby if I don't read his question correctly before he comes out. But in all honesty, the last 4 years, like I said, with these kids has been super special. And if there's one person who has really dedicated his time not only to improving himself, but to improving this team, and unfortunately putting up with listening to me a lot, it's McKinley. He's my student service worker, so he has to listen to my anxiety in the morning as I try to get things like tournaments put together and make sure that all our rosters are right and all kinds of other things. But there just really isn't much that he has not done to improve himself, which probably explains why he qualified for the national tournament 3 times this year. He rejected his big questions auto qualifier in the fall. He said, I don't like philosophical debate that much, I don't want to do it. I said, okay, what do you want to do instead? He said, well, I want to try Extemp, and if I don't, I want to try World Schools. And I said, okay, if we do World Schools, you guys have to go compete. So McKinley, Andre, and Amelia on winter break on a whim after Minnesota Classic debate went and competed in a World Schools tournament just for fun, I guess. That's what you want to do over winter break. They did really well, and then this past weekend, he actually did qualify for Nationals in U.S. Extemporaneous Speaking. The only joke was on all of us, I guess, as he preferred World Schools over U.S. Extemporaneous Speaking. So although he could go to Nationals in Speech, he's again going back in debate, just in another debate category for fun. Are you clapping for yourself? You want this to get over with? Oh, okay. I thought that was like too much positivity for you. He's super humble. I will be honest with you, he's super humble, always caring, and really kind. I could spend a lot of time saying nice things about McKinley, but I'll instead just read his question so he's not crabby at me and you all know what he's going to talk about before he comes out. So the question is cryptocurrency the future of currency? His question is cryptocurrency the future of currency? Here's McKinley.
I'm offering everybody the greatest investment of a lifetime. Invest in my newest cryptocurrency, Glorp Coin, and you're guaranteed to win money. I'm taking financial advice from titans of the industry, like Justin Bieber and Kanye West. And even though I own 80% of the entire stock, I promise that the minute you invest, I won't pull all my money and scam you. You probably didn't buy into that, Spencer. But a lot of people recently have. As Reuters explains on February 14th, coins like this, known as crypto, have increasingly become really popular in the United States. They're sort of like a mix between a regular currency like the dollar and a stock, in that you sort of just hope that the number goes up and try to use it to trade. And recently, everyone's favorite people, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, have decided this is their time, forcing the Federal Reserve to require the usage of crypto in its stocks and pushing it closer and closer towards replacing the US dollar. And considering that my very own Glorp coin might be the way to replace the US dollar, it's key that we ask today's question. Is cryptocurrency the future of currency? And the answer is no, because it's actually just a scam. If you told me right now that there was a way that the money in my wallet could increase by 20, 30%, I'd jump for joy. Right after I asked the nerds in row I and J how much an extra 20% is on 20 cents, either way, I'm sure I'm now rich. But really, that sounds great. And that's what crypto offers. As the Economic Times, one of the few newspapers which actually talks about crypto, described today, in the last year, Bitcoin, the world's largest cryptocurrency, jumped by almost 20%. Meaning that if that was the dollar, every dollar you have is now $1.20, and everybody is richer. Sounds great, but it turns out free money is usually not actually a good thing. And crypto isn't any different, because economics have already studied this exact effect. It's known as deflation. And as the Washington Post explains, just yesterday, in an analysis of the only two economies in the entire world that have ever felt something like this, Japan and Nigeria, they explained that getting more money for each dollar is actually a whole lot worse than you would think. Because as your money is worth more, businesses have to lower prices. And as they lower prices, they lose money. And when they lose money, they shut down. Which is why in every single example, there was a massive spike in the amount of jobs that everyone could have. And when there were less jobs, it didn't matter how much money your currency was worth, because people didn't have it. So poverty spiked. So although free money sounds really appealing in the United States, replacing our currency with something that grows year after year isn't actually good at all. It only serves to make everybody's lives a whole lot worse. Now, if you know anybody, you probably know at least one person who's been scammed. Most hilariously, we can look to my favorite coach, Grace Lyles, and her family friend who believed they were giving $10,000 a month to Keanu Reeves over Venmo. And this should be shocking, that wasn't actually Keanu Reeves. And luckily, it's our banking system that told us why. As the National Center for Consumer Legal Support, a U.S. think tank that offers legal advice to regular people when they face fraud and scams, explains on February 1st, our banking system is actually really good at handling fraud because it knows everything about your money. It knows where you got it, it knows who you're sending it to, and it knows that Keanu Reeves is actually a guy named John, and he lives in Bangkok, Thailand, and is also scamming 30 other people. Like, no matter what you're looking at, we can tell everything. Although, crypto is almost the opposite. As Reuters describes on February 14th, crypto prides itself on its privacy, that you can't look where the money's going, who the money is, or anything about it. Which sounds great until you need to figure out who's scamming you, and then you can't tell. Crypto erodes every single institution the United States has built, because the FTC can't track money. They can't track anything when it has to do with crypto. Which is why that same article reports that in 2024 alone, there was a 40% increase in crypto scams, costing Americans $12.8 billion. The adoption of cryptocurrency would, in effect, make everyone so much more at risk to scams that normally we just don't have to worry about. Now, in this speech, like in all of American politics, there's truly somebody that we forgot to consider. We forgot about Russian President Vladimir Putin, and he hates the current system. As the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, a nonprofit focused on combating authoritarianism, describes on January 18th, our current system is really good at handling authoritarians like Putin, Kim Jong-un, and the rest of them. Generally, because we can limit them. They give the example of around the war in Ukraine, when the European Central Bank and Federal Reserve, two of the biggest national banks in the entire world, said that Russian billionaires and the Russian government isn't allowed to access their funds. So $5.8 billion disappeared from the Russian treasury because it was held offshore. This was a crippling blow to Russia, and is likely one of the key reasons why Ukraine is still there. But luckily for Putin, cryptocurrency undoes pretty much all of the restrictions that it once had. As the New York Times describes just 3 days ago, cryptocurrency is a massive boon for authoritarians because, again, it can't be tracked. It's so deregulated that whether it's the European Central Bank or the Federal Reserve, it doesn't matter because there's a million different cryptocurrencies, hundreds of which are created every single day. When the Russian state jumps between Bitcoin to Litecoin to some other random coin that was made 5 minutes ago, the European Central Bank can't stop them. The Federal Reserve can't stop them. And as increasingly this becomes more and more common, as it replaces the US dollar, our ability to actually deal with authoritarians gets a whole lot worse, and we're left basically defenseless. So returning to today's question, is cryptocurrency the future of currency? The answer is obviously no. It is still a scam. Whether it's rapid deflation, which sounds great, but only serves to hurt everybody, the issues that will arise because of scams that become all the more common to even combat improve, something which is now impossible. See, most of us wouldn't invest in Glorpcoin, so it's probably a good idea that the US federal government doesn't try to make Glorpcoin the new dollar.